You wouldn't expect a massacre in a place like this, a quiet neighborhood, homes with trimmed lawns, children's bicycles left in the grass. But behind one door was a nightmare that defies reason. A killer who wasn't driven by money or revenge, but by something far darker, a hunger. And when the police opened that door, what they found would scar them forever. Sacramento, California, 1977. A city of sunshine, suburbia, and safety. At least, that's what families believed. Among them was Richard Trenton Chase. On the surface, he was just another face in the crowd, tall, thin, with sunken eyes and restless hands. But beneath that frail frame, something terrifying was brewing. Richard's childhood wasn't defined by monsters under the bed. The monster was inside him. From an early age, the signs were there. Cruelty to animals, arson, obsessions with blood. Teachers dismissed him as strange. Parents argued about discipline, but no one truly intervened. By his late teens, Richard's mind was unraveling. He became convinced his blood was turning to dust, that his organs were shrinking, that the only way to survive was to consume the blood of others. A delusion so grotesque, it transformed him into something less than human. In 1976, Richard was committed to a psychiatric hospital after injecting animal blood into his veins. Doctors labeled him a danger to others. But within a year, he was released. They said he was no longer a threat. Yet in his small apartment, Richard began capturing neighborhood pets, killing them, draining them, consuming them. The neighbors smelled decay but ignored it. The system looked away. And while the city slept, Richard was preparing for something far worse. December 29th, 1977. 51-year-old Ambrose Griffin was helping his wife carry groceries to their home when Richard drove by and fired a .22 caliber pistol. Ambrose collapsed in his driveway. A random killing. A test run. But the real horror began weeks later. On January 23rd, 1978, Richard broke into the home of Teresa Wallen, 3 months pregnant. He shot her once, before mutilating her body in ways too disturbing to fully describe. He drank her blood, and it didn't end there. Days later, he entered the Miroff family home. What police found inside defied comprehension. For victims, including a 6-year-old boy, brutalized, drained, this was no longer murder. This was ritual. Sacramento descended into panic. Parents locked their doors. Children were kept indoors. The press whispered his nickname, the Vampire of Sacramento. Police worked around the clock. And when they finally entered Richard's apartment, the truth spilled out. Rotting animal carcasses, cups filled with blood, a blender stained red. On the walls, drawings of organs and veins. It wasn't a home. It was a slaughterhouse, a temple to madness. Richard Trenton Chase was arrested, tried, convicted of 6 murders. But the real horror was this. The warnings were everywhere. Doctors knew. Neighbors suspected. His family pleaded for help. Yet he was released, unwatched, untreated, free to unleash his delusion on innocent strangers. How many lives would have been spared if the system had acted sooner? In prison, Richard withered. The voices in his head grew louder. And in December of 1980, he was found dead in his cell. Suicide. But his story lingers, a grim reminder of what happens when madness goes unchecked. Because monsters don't just appear out of nowhere. They are built, ignored, released, and sometimes they're living right next door.